Once again from Gentleman Jim the Tailor, brother from Harlem, high school education. I'm going to tell you some stories about, this one involved both Harlem, but it also involved all of New York City. In 1965, in November, they had a blackout. Nobody had ever seen something of this magnitude before. Oh, lights go on and off all the time. There's nothing new to anybody with lights going off. But this darkened all of New York. They didn't know what happened. All they know is there was no more electricity running in all of New York. Now, this is what happened in Harlem. The lights flickered. We didn't know what was happening because you couldn't listen on the radio and you couldn't watch on TV to see what was happening, but something happened. The root of it, they eventually figured out. I don't even want to go into the root of what happened. I'm just going to tell you what happened in Harlem. Now, the lights went off the first time. They stayed off about 15-20 minutes. It was still daylight because we're in November, but it's only like 5 o'clock, a little past 5. So we waited, and sure enough, they came back on. A little bit later, they went off and they stayed off. Now, an hour went by and everybody's wondering because now it's starting to get dark. So, we don't know what's happening. I told Ori that I needed to go downtown and get my wife because she worked in a store called B. Altman's. B. Altman's was an upscale store in those days, like a Saks Fifth Avenue. It was real upscale. So she's downtown. She got off at 6. It's almost 6. I said, I need to go see her because the subway system had totally stopped. All you had was buses, and everybody was being dismissed early from everybody downtown shut down because the workers didn't know what was happening, and these people needed to get home. Well, you didn't have a subway system, and most of these people came in on subway. The buses were jam-packed and overcrowded, and people were standing out there pushing and shoving trying to get in. I said, I'm going to get my wife. So when I got to B. Altman's, she was outside and a couple of her girlfriends. Now it had just gotten dark. So I picked her up and I took a couple of her girlfriends and I drove them home and I took her home. And I told her that I was going back to check on Ori because we're on 125th Street. Now downtown is one thing. They always have a big police presence downtown. They don't have a big one on 125th Street in Harlem. So I said, I'm going back to check on Ori. I told her I'll be back. Let me find out what was happening. So I decided to go back. On my way back, people were flagging me, wanting to know would I give them a ride over here and over there. And they were offering me money. So I said, well, why not? I'll take a few of these dollars on my way back. So I did that. When I got back to Ori, now it's, I'm going to say, close to 8 o'clock. Streets were full of people, not just on 125th Street. The streets were full of people everywhere. They were just hanging out. People had flashlights, some people had candles, because there was no power. And now the power has been off for several hours now. We're wondering what's going on. I said, okay, we had a gate in front of the store. But it was one of those weak accordion type gates that, you know, you just pull them together and you put a lock down there. Anybody could snatch those off if they really wanted to. And sure enough, about 9 o'clock, a little past 8 rather, all of a sudden we started hearing glass break. These now were the looters starting to loot the stores on 125th Street. Understand this. Then after they had looted, some of them firebombed the stores. So now you got stores over here on fire, stores over there with the windows broken and looting and people running down the street. They just took it, whatever they could, and they run and come up to Ori's. We tell them, hey, this is a black business. We were one of the few black businesses on 125th Street. You had a bookstore, you had a record shop, and Ori. There might have been another one over here, but I'm not familiar with those. I'm familiar with the ones that were, I'd say, a little more popular. Well, now here we are. And we told the bad guys, you can't come in here. And I'm standing guard with Ori. A couple of his other friends were in there. Ori had a little pistol on him, and one of his buddies had a pistol. They were going to shoot somebody if they came in, because we're defending his property. But his property was my livelihood. That's why I stood by Ori during that. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a riot, especially caught in the riot. It's one thing when you ride, you running down the street hollering and breaking windows and whatnot. It's another when you're caught in it, because we couldn't leave, because if we leave, they would have taken over the store. See? We didn't want to fight, but we were willing to fight. Ori was willing to, be honest with you, to die for his business. And you know something? I was going down with him, because that was my livelihood. I mean, this man is treating me real well. I got whatever I needed from him, and I'm not about to let somebody destroy our business. Now, they didn't totally destroy 125th Street, but they did enough damage. About close to 12 o'clock, the police, because we knew a lot of the police in the area, came up to the store, and they said, well, things have calmed down. We got everything under control. Don't worry about your business. You guys could stay or you could leave. We're all right. We got your back and all of this stuff. Well, at that particular time, it's about 12 o'clock now. And I told Ori, look, I'm going home to check on my family. Now, we were all right where we lived in the Bronx. It's just that there was no power. And I had a car, and I had gas in my car too. So I decided to go home and check on my family. Well, on the way home, people are flagging me. Hey man, can you give me a ride? I give you $5 if you take me over here. Oh, I give you $10 if you take me over here. I just hustled me up some fares and started writing. I think, this is my opinion, that this was the beginning of what we call gypsy cabs. That was 1965. It might have started before then, but it really took hold after that, because you see, the yellow cabs wouldn't service our neighborhoods. Now, they weren't just looting on 125th Street. There were areas in the Bronx where they looted. There were areas in Brooklyn where they looted. So it wasn't just there. But this was Harlem, and this is what was going on. It's a very, 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 very scary situation that I was put in. But, I told you, I'm from the streets. This man is guarding his property. I'm guarding it with him, because it's my livelihood. And I had an alliance and an allegiance to Ori. But because we wanted a few blacks, we didn't want to lose, because I don't know what kind of insurance Ori had. Could he rebuild? Could he do this? I really don't know. So I stayed there with him. But when I finally got home, Barbara Jean wondered where I was between the time I left her and the time I got home. And I told her I was out there making me some money. Always about making $1. I can turn $1 if you need $1 turn. Yeah. So the funny thing about it is that every time we have a riot and we burn down and we loot stores that are in our neighborhood, it really affects us. It doesn't necessarily affect the merchant. The merchants got insurance, but if they loot and burn down your place of work, you're out of a job. I never did understand why we would do that in our neighborhoods, but we did. And I'm not the one that say, well, those things happen. But that's what happened when the lights were out. And all the papers for a long time kept posting on the front page, where were you when the lights went out? That's where I was on 25th Street when the lights went out. So I leave you with these words. I'll be back with some more stories like that. But this was Harlem, 1965, when the lights went out. As you know, I tell you guys all the time, I refer to several books that I've encountered. This is called Harlem on My Mind. Gives you a little history of what Harlem was like. This one is called The Black New Yorker. Gives you a history about blacks in New York during the time. And then I wrote a book called Across 125th Street, When the Magic Was Real. This, what I'm telling you guys, is when the magic was real. So I leave you on that note, and I'll be back with more. You can find my book on my Gumroad website. Thank you very much, and remember, where were you when the lights went out? Thank you very much. Gentleman Jim here.